Welcome to Negotiating Happiness, the show that helps you find happiness, success, and balance in your work and life. I'm Adriana Fiestra, your host for this journey into entrepreneurship and personal growth. We're broadcasting live on 107.7 and 105.3 FM in New Orleans as part of the United Public Radio Network. We explore the latest strategies, insights, and stories from successful entrepreneurs and experts. From managing stress to building a thriving business, we've got you covered.
Hey there, it's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcasts. There's an amazing show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. The News on the Flip Side, in the category of politics and news. News on the Flip Side is a much different news and political program which is not deemed as opinion news. Listen as Joe Montaldo brings to you just the facts from trusted sources which will allow you, the people, to make up your own minds on the various stories being reported on. Go to podcastawards.com to nominate News on the Flip Side in the category of politics and news. That's podcastawards.com, and please take a moment and do it now. All right, everybody, it's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcasts. There's an amazing show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. The Outer Realm in the category of Best Female Hosted Podcast. The Outer Realm is a very popular show hosted by Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano, which boasts millions of listeners each week who are well known for and have been complimented on their very laid-back, roundtable style of interviewing. Together, this dynamic duo brings you the best of the best with guests from around the world who are well-versed within their respective fields of ufology, paranormal, esoteric, and other areas of high strangeness, and more. So go to podcastawards.com to nominate The Outer Realm in the category Best Female Hosted Podcast. That's podcastawards.com, and please take a moment and do it now.
Looking for stories that are fresh and new? Dark fantasy, humor, space exploration, time travel, cyberpunk, alternate history, and more. They're in the L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future anthology from 24 award-winning authors and illustrators, plus art and writing tips and bonus stories. L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future. Buy your copy at galaxypress.com, Amazon, or wherever books are sold.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Adriana, your host for Negotiating Happiness. We are pre-recording today. It is July 21st for our show on Monday. I am here with Michael Lien from MEL Financial Consulting. So a huge shout out for everybody that will be listening. If you have any questions, please still feel free to put them in the comments. We will be responding to them on Monday. So just in case you're just tuning in now, we are broadcasting live on Monday with this pre-recorded show on the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. And check out some of our other shows we have on Roku TV if you want to lay back and watch something on your big TV. Please make sure to look for us there on the United Public Radio Network. So here we are. Grab your coffee, grab your lunch, and tune in for some yes, Michael, thank you. We all have our coffees. We're going to have some interesting conversations around finances. And I know that the topic of money is sometimes icky for people to talk about. We're going to not listen to any of those stereotypes and dive into some smart financial decisions. So I would like to introduce Michael. He is the marketing director of MEL Financial Consulting, and he's worked previously at Citibank for 20 years in both the New York Check Processing Department and the National Check Processing Department in New York and San Francisco. And currently he is in San Francisco. So hello. We're here in Ontario, Canada, and you're all the way on the other side of the coast. It must be beautiful there right now.
So we got both coasts covered.
Yes, we do. We do. And we're just continuing here. So in 2000, Michael was hired as the operations and finance director at TRIC Tools. In 2021, he became the managing director of Trenchless Equipment. Michael started his finance company, MEL Financial Consulting, in 2022, and he's studying the financial market since 1986. So it's safe to say that Michael will have some golden nuggets of wisdom for us today. And along with the inspiration from his mother, Michael credits Investors Business Daily with helping him learn about the stock market. He also has a daily financial podcast on his YouTube channels, which is at Mornings with Michael, and on his Facebook page, MEL Financial Service. I will be posting all of the links in the comments for you guys and also on the screen here. And you also have a podcast dedicated to small business, which is Saturday Small Business Leaders. And don't worry, again, if you can't tune in live, our episodes will be on archive. And please feel free to leave us comments because we do check them, even if they are old episodes. So let's dive in. Hello, Michael. Sorry for the long-winded introduction there.
Well, that's awesome, Adriana. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here. Um, and yeah, it's been a long time. I just thank my mother for inspiring me to learn about the stock market, and it's been a long road, and it's kind of like a bumpy road sometimes in markets. So you know, we just want to make things a little easier for people so they can sleep better at night.
Of course, of course. And unfortunately, finance is one of those topics that isn't always taught in schools. And we always appreciate people that come in here that give us some more knowledge that we didn't have before. So tell us how you made this into a business. Like we like to talk about entrepreneurship, how you run your own business, and what kind of advice you would give other people, and how do you balance it in your life, right? You obviously have other commitments. You like to do other things for fun. We want to know all of it. So I'll let you take the lead here.
Well, as you can see, my background is uh, very beautiful, and
Yes.
we love to travel.
Where is
This is
that?
one of the things. This is in Norway. This is the Norway.
Beautiful.
It was always my father's dream to go to Norway to see where his father came from. And in Europe, it's amazing. You can go over there and they have buildings going back many many years, and the building that my grandfather grew up in was still there. And so we were able to
Wow.
take my father into that building. And that's just the great thing about travel. It kind of opens your mind to new adventures, meeting new people, uh, seeing other cultures, and expands your vision. So those are
Exactly.
some of the things that we like to do. And my wife decided to turn this into a business. So she's has a travel business. And we get to go experience these things, come back and share it with others, and help to build their dreams for seeing new visions as well.
Yeah, I bet she's got interesting clientele as well. I would love to have a chat with her. We did an episode recently about just travel tricks because I do end up planning a lot of trips either for friends and family, but also for my clients, because conferences and development and all that. But I would love to hear from her so she can spill all of the industry secrets and why and make us want to go to her and plan our next vacation, because who doesn't want to travel? Come on. I haven't met a lot
Yeah,
of people who don't like traveling.
and a bunch of the people that I know who are also financial advisors, we were able to schedule a trip for them, and 225 people. We all went to Cabo,
Wow.
and it was such a great event, and seeing people. And we kind of network and uh, build business together. So it was great to spend some fun together and see everybody's families and in a relaxing atmosphere.
Of course. And I always say this, people don't necessarily buy because of the product, they buy from you, right? So especially when you're in the service industry, it is such a um a good opportunity for you to show other people why they should trust you in many different aspects, not just in a, you're not putting on a suit, and this isn't the corporate world. This is the wild, wild west of entrepreneurship, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's start out with some of our audience are brand new entrepreneurs, and some of them have been around for a while. And I like to bring in guests that can give both, perspectives on things. So if we're talking to our new entrepreneurs, what are the kind of things that you would tell them to watch out for, or the things that they should do to protect themselves financially?
Well, I know you're always being bombarded by people who say they're going to shorten your learning curve and doing all this, and you just need to investigate that. And it'd be good to have a team of people that you can kind of bounce things off of. Uh, what- Not necessarily a board of advisors is always good to have, where you can bounce these things off of and say, does this make sense to do this? And it'll kind of shorten your learning curve and save you a lot of money in the end. That's what I feel. And get emails, phone calls all the time. Somebody has a golden parachute for you, and it doesn't always work out that way.
Right. And, it's really good to know that even though you're embarking on this entrepreneurship journey by yourself, you don't have to do it alone. And it's good to make friends, it's good to network. Sometimes in the digital space, people forget that there's enough for everybody to go around. So they tend to isolate themselves, thinking that, they don't need to share. I'm just saying this because I have so many contacts and I talk to everybody that does very similar things to what I do. And it doesn't bother me. And we end up learning from each other. And it's really great. It hasn't backfired yet.
Hmm. And that's why I love to do my podcast with small business leaders, because I learn so much from them. And I like to help others. And well, with this business, it's being in business for yourself, but not by yourself. You can go to other people and ask questions, ask support, and get additional training. And
That's right.
that's what we do. We have two kind of segments where a lot of times finance commercials, they try to make it look complex and whatnot. We try to make it as simple as possible. Allow people to come on in where they can learn. These are things that we see that are coming down the pike, so to speak, and that's going to have a big impact on business. Um, so people can prepare about it, and just continually learning of what's available and how things work.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. That's exactly why I started this show too. I wanted to learn from other people, but also I wanted to show other people that they're not alone, and they can probably relate to a lot of the things that we talk about, because we don't hold back. We talk about parenting, we talk about, what do you do for fun? What do you do when you're almost burnt out? And how do you deal with money, or how do you deal with insurance? It's just things that nobody necessarily teaches you, right? You can have as many diplomas as you want. These are very practical things that most people don't like to talk about, but we want to talk about it. So it's really great to hear that other people have the same kind of idea of, putting a platform out there for small businesses to learn from.
And we have like an open house where a big expense for a lot of families is sending their kids to college.
Yes.
Um, or should their kid go to college? There's a service industry as well that is underserved. So
Yeah.
we can sit down with them and go over college planning, kind of find out what the goals are of their children, what
Yeah.
they like to do. And there's a number of colleges, private colleges, that sometimes give huge financial aid that in the end is about the same price as University of California, for instance,
Yeah.
Louisiana State University. say we're recording for the New Orleans area, we sit down and we have those discussions with them, and we go through how to position your money to get more money for your child instead of breaking somebody's retirement in order to
That's
pay for
right.
their kids' college education.
Yeah, that's right. So we had a guest last week. It was Helen, and she is an education consulting, and she basically kind of, she's on the same page, but she was saying that there are so many scholarships that go to waste every year because people don't apply because they don't think that they can. So that is also a huge help. And the fact that you sit down with them and plan out the money that they already have, it kind of gives people a push to be like, oh wow, I really didn't save as much as I thought I did. So I guess I should get on, applying for scholarships or bursaries or whatever it is that these schools have available, right? It's such a smart thing to do to plan for it. And so
And
you
we have things on Social Security planning, insurance planning, tax planning, and we have open seminars that people can come in. And I have that in my LinkedIn page periodically, and people can contact me for more information if they want to learn more about, upcoming workshops that they can learn about these different events. But the core of our planning, and we kind of think this is good for business as well, because if they set up benefits that incentivize employees, those employees are going to stay longer and help their
yeah
business longer. The core is that we feel like there's a fund, and there's three main funds. There's a care fund. So when you get older, you want to be able to take care of yourself. You don't want to burden your family that they're working hard every day, trying to build things for their children and whatnot. So you want to set up a care fund, and then you
yeah
want to have a need fund so that when you retire, you can have the kind of lifestyle that you're accustomed to. Take care of your housing, your meals, and all these sorts of things that are needs for you.
yeah
And then
yeah
then the one that kind of has a funny ring to it is a fun fund. Fun
fun
fund.
fund, yes.
Like if you want to buy something that you've always dreamed of, if you want to buy that new Corvette that looks really sexy driving down the street, if you have always had a dream of maybe cruising around the world, or
Yeah,
you wanted to go similar to what we did for my father, show where your relatives came from, Europe, South America, Africa, wherever they may have come, then you have that availability. So
yes,
those are the three funds that we really feel that people need to set up.
for sure. And that's not necessarily something that new entrepreneurs think of, right? Especially if you're in your 20s starting a business, you're not, your average 20 something year old isn't thinking about a care fund or like, what am I going to do when I retire and whatever else. I feel like the fun fund everybody knows about. It's the other two
That's what
that
everybody spends so much time. They spend more time planning their vacation than saving for the future.
yes. Yes, I know. It's a problem I have too. So
But
you,
the key thing is to set aside a small portion to pay yourself first. You work so hard for others or benefiting others.
yeah.
You should always take care of yourself first. It gives you a good psychological feeling that you have something you're setting aside, and we can help you strategize to grow it in a tax efficient manner that'll help you
Yeah.
sleep well at night.
Yeah. And it's um yeah, like it's like you said, it helps you. You're basically buying your peace, you're saving for your peace. And that if something, God forbid, happens, you're like, well, at least I've got like some sort of safety blanket saved up, which is really good. The other thing that a lot of people don't and I know this is not the kind of insurance that you were talking about, but a lot of people that are operating in the digital space don't have insurance for their business, right? So that's another thing to kind of think about when you're trying to, plan safely for your future, but also for your business's future.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we kind of went a little bit over what you would recommend for newer entrepreneurs, but what kind of things do you talk about with the entrepreneurs that have been around for, like 15 years successfully, and now the tides are kind of changing a little bit? What kind of advice do you give to the entrepreneurs that have been around for a while?
If they have a nice savings set aside and maybe they've had it in a 401k, we talk to them about diversifying. I shared that annuities screen with you, and I have that
Oh,
on
yes.
my podcast
Yes.
every day. And I was just amazed at how an annuity, which doesn't go down in value when the market's correct or there's a problem in the financial markets, it just allows people to sleep better. It's kind of like going up the steps. Once you go up one step and the market goes down, your account doesn't go down. It stays on that step, and
Right.
it continues growing. And a lot of the annuities have a bonus. So when somebody would roll over, say maybe $100,000, it'll have a 22 to 30% bonus, and
Yeah.
instead of 100,000, they have like 122,000 now in their account, and then that still grows at 6 to 9% interest, um, and that's how it beats the indexes. And as you can see, it's almost about 5% difference in growth over time.
Yeah, so I've posted for anybody that's just listening, I've just posted on here um, the annuities sample that Michael has provided here. Do you want to take us through it? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people like me who don't really know what we're looking at here.
So the red line is the indexes, and you can
Okay.
see it goes up and then it pulls back, and it goes up some more and then it pulls back again. And
Yeah.
it's kind of a more of a jagged line. And
Yes.
the annuity is a straight line, and then it goes up and then it goes over. And that's the step I'm talking about, where it doesn't come down that step. Once it goes up, it continually goes up, and may not jump how sometimes the indexes may jump, but
Hmm.
but it doesn't come down either. So
Right.
and it gives you a sense of security that once you have the money in there, you're not going to lose it. And
Right. And
interesting as from a trader mentality, uh, it's really exciting when you make a lot of money, but on the downside, when you lose money, then it's really disheartening, and think, oh, the world is going to end. The market's never going to go up again. And then vice versa, when it's going up, you think you're like the king of the world. I'm so smart, and well, it's neither of those things, because it's the market that is making all these things happen for you. And but those are the whims and of a trader. And the great thing about this is, you can put your money over here and you can concentrate in your business and not have to worry about this, that it's just going to grow in a tax efficient manner and just continue to be there for you.
right. So for anybody looking that at this chart, what the reason why the blue line is kind of a straight line is because it locks in gains. So the interest you earn is locked in and cannot be lost. So whenever you see the red line go down, the annuity stays the same. So that's what Michael's saying, is that this is more of a, I guess, safer. Does it, or is it considered Is it considered a safer investment, or how would you classify it?
I would say it would be safer and it more consistent anyway.
Right. So whenever the red line is going down, that's why we see a straight line, because our investment stays the same. It locks in the gains and it protects from the downturns. So the
Correct.
interest credits will never be less than 0%.
And they
Yeah.
may do this in a variety of ways. They may invest in options instead of the stocks themselves. There is a mix of bonds in there. And right now, bond interest rates are pretty high compared to where they have been. Um,
Yeah.
4 to 5%, which is if you can get a guaranteed 4 to 5%, that's pretty good. And a lot of companies are hedging things with these bonds, and um, that's another way these annuities continue to be able to have consistency over time.
Right. Right. Okay. That's very interesting. So this is something that you would recommend, I guess, to your clients?
Well, we'd have to sit down with them and see their situation, but I think it would be a smart way to go. And there's another investment very similar to this index universal life insurance. Um, once your value goes up in that fund as well, it acts very similar to this. Um, it doesn't have the big bonus like annuities have, but it acts very similar. And it has a lot of them have a guaranteed rate of return if the markets go down. So you're always making money in some way or another.
Right. And it's obviously a little bit different in the States where you are versus Canada, but even in Canada that applies. So if you get like a cash value policy, like a permanent policy, it's basically like an investment. So you keep adding to it every month. And once you hit 65, they're not just going to stop insuring you. You actually have almost like a savings account going on. And I've seen some of the increase, like the percentages, they were definitely a bit better than any savings account that I've ever seen, right?
Uh-huh.
So that's right. And not to be morbid or anything, but when I last talked to an insurance provider, shout out to Sarah, she set us up. She was saying that it is so much better when you have young kids to get them a policy because their premium is so low,
Right.
including in the permanent one, and it stays pretty steady, right? Their
Hmm.
entire life, and then they can take it over at 18 if they want to pay for it, but then they can also borrow from it interest free because you're borrowing from your own money basically.
Right. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they charge like 3.2%, but then they give you a credit for that same amount after 10 years. And then so it's kind of like a wash. And
It depends.
I
Yeah, I think it depends on your insurance provider, what your policy says, right? You just have to be very careful when you sign up for some of these things. That's why you would go to somebody like Michael, right? To get the right advice and for them to be able to set you up properly, because these things are confusing. I'm wondering if we've got people watching the episode looking at this sheet like, what is this? I'm never going to understand this. But that's why people like Michael exist, right? That have financial consulting companies, because you definitely need help. You don't need to do this alone. I say this all the time. Some of my clients that are just starting out, they don't even have their bookkeeping in order, right? So that's like the first thing that I say. You need to outsource this. You need somebody that will do it properly for you, and you will benefit from it later. It's just the same thing when you start to make investments or when you want to protect yourself. You need to go to somebody else that knows what they're doing. Don't just fumble through it because you're an entrepreneur. This isn't your area, right? So if it's not your area, don't be shy. Go see somebody who is actually knowledgeable.
and that's why we like to have people come in and educate themselves,
Yeah.
and then they feel more comfortable and have an idea of, these are like three options. I think this is the option that would be best for my circumstance, and then over time it may change, and then can adjust it at that time.
That's right. That's right. So it's very important that you know what your next step is, right? And I always do some business planning with them before, and I usually try and throw that in there of, hey, think about your taxes, think about, are you paying in Canada at CPP, which is like the pension deductions if you're employed? That stuff gets paid by your employer, but when you're self-employed, you still have to contribute. So we talk about you should probably have somebody do like a financial plan with you and basically start acting like you're paying yourself a salary. I'm the worst for this too. I don't take my own advice, but I'm slowly getting better at thinking ahead and having, paying taxes, paying CPP, paying this and that. And then now I'm finally kind of turning my head towards the future. How am I protected, right? How am I going to invest this money I'm making? It's not just being spent on everyday stuff, right?
Right. And then we have another track, with interest rates rising, inflation and everything. A lot of people are looking for new business or something else to supplement their income because it's really hard to meet today's expenses.
Of course.
We have that opportunity that people can come in. We have 10 courses on business, and we support them and help them build a business. They start out part-time. A number of people have come in and started a business part-time, and over time then moved into it full-time. So that's another opportunity that we can look at, but it all starts with education first.
For sure. And that's exactly what we all need is education when it comes to the finances. And it just drives me nuts that not nobody, I have a lot of business friends online where they're not shy talking about money, but in general, people just don't like talking about money. And I think that creates a really unstable environment where you think that you're the only one that needs to deal with their money. And that's just not smart, right?
Yeah, and one other thing that people may not be aware of, long-term care is becoming a big thing people are starting to talk about. The state of Washington was the first state to mandate long-term care.
Wow.
There's 13 other states looking at some sort of mandate as well. It looks like the state of California, state of New York, and Pennsylvania are looking to have a mandate. So this is something that we have in our education process, preparing people. Now the state of Washington, they have a mandate to pay 0.58% tax to, and it's a very small amount if you look at the cost of long-term care. I think it's like $36,000. A lot of long-term care facilities cost $100,000 to $200,000 a year. So
for those that are, sorry to interrupt you, Michael, but for those that are listening overseas, can you explain a little bit about what this mandate is about? Long-term care, we have a lot of listeners overseas, so that they might not quite understand how the system works.
So long-term care is 6 activities of daily living, like bathing, being able to walk from one place to the other, being able to eat. These are 3 of them anyway. And if you have 2 out of the 6 that you can't do, that not mandates, but it means that you may need long-term care assistance.
So somebody will be provided to you then at the time of need. So basically, you're working for it now and paying for it through this special, I guess, tax. And then when you need it, when you retire or when you are in a difficult health situation, you will be able to be provided long-term care, which I think is a good thing. It's trying to take care of, the elderly population. I don't see the problem with it, but I know people don't like taxes, and I know people don't really react well when they
Right.
see that the government just starts taking more and more. So that's what the whole thing is. It's when it's mandated, it means it's mandatory. You have to do it. You don't have a choice.
The I guess the downside for the state of Washington's plan is if you move out of the state of Washington, all the tax money that you paid in um, doesn't go anywhere. If you needed long-term care, you'd have to move back to the state of Washington to take advantage of it. Um, Now, the other states, I believe, are looking to have it as transferable,
Yeah.
uh, and they're looking to have it as a higher number than 36,000 because they realize that such a small drop in the bucket. But in order to
Yeah.
do that, Washington's tax was only for 10 years. They would either have to increase the percentage on the tax or the number of years that people would have to pay into the tax to get that higher number. So
Right.
that's
Yeah.
something that we're also teaching on. So the California has an assembly bill number, so it's AB 567 if people want to look into that a little further. I'm not sure what the bills in Pennsylvania and New York are, but those are the three states that are looking into it.
Yeah, I'm sure if you want to look more into it, a simple Google search for those states will be able to help. Yeah, it's
Or
very
get in touch with me and we can help
yes.
you more.
Yes, Michael can basically navigate through all of this. Sounds to me like a bunch of very necessary weeds, but it's hard sometimes. You get stuck in the weeds and you can't get out. That's why you need a professional. So I've posted here on the bottom Michael's Facebook group, which is Morning with Michael. So if you guys want to head on over on Facebook, if it's easier, you can find him there as well, or you can go on YouTube. And look at Morning with Michael, his channel there. So, Michael, what do you do for fun? How do you decompress from having to process all of these numbers, all of these serious topics?
Well, I love to do power walks in the morning with nature. I love to get
Amazing.
up really before the sun rises and go
Yeah.
out there, and then just the magical colors that come up when the sun starts to rise, and you get to see different animals when nobody's outside than you would imagine.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's deer, um, the jackrabbits or whatnot. It's just interesting. Doing a walk. I love to walk along the water, and that's what I really love to do. And I like to travel with my family and discover new things, like going to Norway or um,
Yeah.
Cabo with friends. Um, so that's what we love to do to decompress, so to speak, and recharge our batteries.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, it's very much along the lines that I've just started saying, go outside, be a plant, dig your feet into the grass, go hike, let the sun, like warm you up. It's funny though now how they're coming up with all of these studies that show how beneficial literally just being outside is. So that's so great to hear that people still enjoy the outside.
And then my wife and I, we like to um, continually redo our garden and replant things and changing things. So
Yeah,
it gets us, doing some exercise, get those muscles in gear, and sometimes
yeah.
we come back and we're a little stiff for a few days, but
That's
it,
okay
it
though.
keeps everything green and keeps us involved with Mother Nature as well.
Of course, of course. And it's funny, a lot of the shows on the network are very spiritual or paranormal, and a lot of them have the same views. It's just funny how we look at it. We look at it as a like normal thing, go outside, and somebody who's spiritual is go connect with Mother Nature. It's the same thing. We just have such different ways of talking about it, right? Um, As I'm sitting here talking to you, I'm looking outside and I can see this isn't my regular show background. Anybody that's watched knows that this isn't my usual spot at home. I'm at the lake and I'm watching just like the geese pass by. It is very calming, especially when you're trying to focus on doing some work. It really does help. So I always say go outside and work sometimes. Let it just like wash over you, the wind, the sun, everything. So I'm glad to hear that. What's your next adventure? Where is your wife taking you next since she's the travel whiz?
Well, we just had, I guess, a Facebook call with one of her cousins. We found out he's in Rome,
Oh,
and another cousin is studying in Germany. So we're kind of thinking maybe after Christmas we could go over to Germany and then go down to Italy. Um, and it's interesting. I've met with a couple of Italians. They're studying over here in the U.S. and how they're talking about. We've gone to Little Italy and San Francisco and New York,
yeah.
and this isn't Italian food. You need to come to Italy to taste what the
Yes.
Italian food tastes like. It says, well, we look forward to that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I loved Italy. I didn't really get to explore much of it, but we were in Rome and in the countryside. One of my aunts lives there. This was a while ago. It is wonderful, really. And the best places to eat at is where you see all the locals. It might look like a hole in the wall, but trust me, that's where you want to be for food, for
In
sure.
most places, that seems to be true.
Yeah,
When we've
yeah.
gone to Hawaii, little hole in the wall is some of the best food that you'll find, and that's where all the locals go.
Yeah, exactly. Don't go near the Colosseum or near those are all the tourist places. And I hate to say this, but it's true. Let's say you fall into the gelato trap of Italy, which is just so delicious. And who doesn't fall into the gelato trap? Everywhere you go, you're like, we have to get gelato twice a day.
Uh-huh.
Don't get it near the very touristy areas because they have a price for tourists and they have a price for locals as well, and it's different. It's very interesting how that works, but I get it. I mean, you have to make your money. I get it.
hmm
I have nothing but great things to say. It's beautiful weather. One thing that I we didn't get to do, maybe you guys will get to do. There are catacombs under Rome, and we never got to
Oh,
go
okay.
because the lines are so long. So if you can find a way to book through the company or skip the line, if you pay a little bit extra, it's totally worth it because I remember like waiting and we never got anywhere near the door and for the lineups. But yeah, there's Rome, there's catacombs in Rome, there's catacombs in Paris. Um,
Yeah, my wife and daughter did the ones in Paris.
yeah, yeah. So I bet the Rome ones are fantastic as well. The Colosseum was really nice when we went to visit, but people aren't always very respectful, even though it's technically a ruin, right?
Uh-huh.
If you want to see something out of the ordinary, we went to Villa Adriana, which is funny because that's my name, but it's Emperor Hadrian. Emperor Hadrian built that before he started building Rome, and it's just outside. I think it's about a half an hour train ride
Okay.
from Rome, and the ruins that are there. So like the baths and the systems with the water are still there. There's still some statues. There are still floors that at the time they were letting you walk on them, and which is amazing, but also very damaging to the structures. There's still like the foundations of these buildings that are thousands of years old at this point are still there with mosaic for like it's not like tile like here. The mosaic's like a centimeter by centimeter and they used to have to do it by hand. It is amazing
Okay.
what kind like how long it's lasted and how it
Oh, wow.
weathered through the temperature. Yeah, it's a very interesting place. It's one of those places where you go have a picnic and then you go from ruin to ruin because they let you roam around. Um, it is beautiful. They have gardens there. They have it's a whole bunch of things just outside of Rome as well.
Nice play on words.
Yeah, yeah,
Get you roam around in Rome.
yes, yes. That was unintentional. It's my mom humor coming through. So Michael, do you have kids?
I do have a daughter. She's a senior in college right now.
Oh, nice. Where does she go?
Yeah, she's going to Chapman University down in the city of Orange, California,
Oh, oh, okay.
down in the
In
LA
California.
area.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
she's majoring in creative writing. I
Oh,
guess she
very
wants to be a
nice.
novelist.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. It's not the same, but it made me think of copywriters instantly, but it's not the same. Yeah. No, that's really great. Good for her. Is she close to finishing or?
Yeah, but she's planning on graduating in May of next year.
Okay. Wow. That's coming up. That's coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really great. Well, thank you so much, Michael. This has been really fantastic. Before we go, can you tell us if you've got any upcoming projects, or did you want to highlight a specific service that you want to call out to people? This is the time to do it.
Well, if anybody wants to come in and just learn, yeah, just contact me. We do have, you know, can give you a short, like 20-minute synopsis of what we do. We could set up a Zoom call
Yeah.
and just kind of go over what we do and see if this is of interest. And there, we are a kind of a membership
Hmm.
organization. We have a one-time fee, and then it's a lifetime of access. You can come in and continually learn and learn and grow. And we have team calls where we talk about people. We have people from New Orleans on our group,
Yeah.
uh, and so it'd be great to have some more people from Louisiana on our membership, and just to help
Yeah.
spread the news. And we want to help everybody achieve more.
And these some of these resources, um obviously, like, we want to direct things at entrepreneurs, but it's not just entrepreneurs. I'm assuming you do some family planning as well.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
lot majority I think would be family planning, and
Hmm.
we have a number of CPAs in the group, in the membership. So we have CPAs, engineers, we have people from kind of all walks of life, and it's refreshing because you get a different point of view from everybody, and it's really healthy learning organization that way.
Right, exactly. It's not just like one type of person. I remember we were at a lunch and learn one time, and it's funny how people are just like on another planet about money in general. But we were at a lunch and learn, and they had an investment company talk to us, and it was a bunch. At the time, we were clerks at a law firm. So the difference between the clerks and the lawyers making money is huge. It's astronomical. So there had a bunch of clerks in here talking about how to invest their money. The investment company came in, and then they just kind of slapped down like, oh yeah, you have to have at least $500,000 to kind of work with. And I'm sitting there thinking, what were the bosses thinking when they set out this high end, very particular, investment company? They offered no value for the time spent there.
Right.
And they totally missed their mark. I'm like, do you understand that a clerk's salary is barely $50,000? At the time it was probably around there, maybe less. It was just so funny. So don't get suckered into, flashy um flashy marketing. And while that's nice to have, it's always, sometimes it's a facade, right, of who you want, who, I don't know, but I don't know a lot of people who have $500,000 to play with, right? So this isn't the case. Michael is all about education and planning, so we don't want to exclude anybody from that, right?
And we want to bring Wall Street to Main Street, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah.
We want to bring it to the 99%, not to the 1%.
Yeah, so it's more accessible. I don't understand
Hmm.
why nobody teaches us how to navigate money. It's such a non I mean, I don't want to get into my conspiracy theory hat here, but it is easier to keep people at the same level of learning if you're not going to share the knowledge, right? You're just
Right.
gatekeeping secrets, and it's really a noble mission you have, Michael, to try and bring access to this kind of knowledge to the everyday average Joe like me.
And I think financial literacy is so important to have
Of course.
everybody on an equal playing field.
Of course, 100%. So, well, thank you so much for your time. We're coming at an end here, and we had so much fun talking. I definitely forgot to do my halfway through intro. So for anybody that's still listening, you're listening to Negotiating Happiness on 107.7 and 105.3 FM UPRN in New Orleans. And big shout out to the network for having us on their platform and giving us the opportunity to talk about all things entrepreneurship and happiness and how to balance both. And we are here with my guest, Michael Lien, and we talked about financial planning, family planning, and what are some of the things that you can do or to find some resources to educate yourself on how to handle your finances better for the future too, not just for right now. So you can contact Michael on Facebook. He's got a group there. It's Morning with Michael, and also on YouTube as well. If you search Mornings with Michael, you'll find his channel. Yeah.
The one on YouTube has an S on the end, and the one on Facebook doesn't.
I noticed that. I noticed
Facebook
that.
didn't let me have the S on the end. So
that's so weird. So Morning with Michael is Facebook, and YouTube channel is Mornings, as in plural, Mornings with Michael. That's so funny. Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Adriana,
I'm so glad we got to do
it's been a
this.
pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. It's been great to have you on the show, and I just look forward to seeing what comes in on the chat, and please keep me in touch with the other projects that you're doing.
Yeah, of course. And if you have projects or anything that, kind of our audience might be interested in later during the year, please feel free to reach out. We'll be happy to have you on the show again.
Awesome. I have a chiropractor coming on the Small Business Leaders this week.
Oh, yeah.
Showing how he got interested in it and how he gets his clients, and it's a pretty interesting program. It's this Saturday.
That's cool. Okay, I'm going to try and tune in, or maybe watch the replay if it's available. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. I love learning about how people run their business, because I deal with a lot of different clients in different industries. So it's really nice to kind of get into their zone and understand how the machine works.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much. We're just going to have our outro and a couple of videos. Please feel free to go on the podcastawards.com to vote for our network shows that are nominated. Thank you so much, Michael. Welcome to Negotiating Happiness, the show that helps you find happiness, success, and balance in your work and life. I'm Adriana Fiestro, your host for this journey into entrepreneurship and personal growth. We're broadcasting live on 107.7 and 105.3 FM in New Orleans as part of the United Public Radio Network. We explore the latest strategies, insights, and stories from successful entrepreneurs and experts. From managing stress to building a thriving business, we've got you covered.
It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcasts. There's an amazing show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards, Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast, in 3 categories: education, storyteller drama, and art. For 4 years, the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast has provided advice and tips from international best-selling authors, world-class artists, contest judges and winners, and industry professionals, based on the world-famous Writers of the Future contest created in 1983 by L. Ron Hubbard to help the aspiring writer and artist, no matter their age. It is dedicated to the future of storytelling and art by showing that it is never too late to start, and those who make it are those who never give up. Go to podcastawards.com to nominate the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast in any or all of the 3 categories: education, storyteller drama, and art. That's podcastawards.com, and please take a moment and go out and vote now. All right, everybody, it's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcast. Yes, it is that time of year again. There's a show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards, UFO Undercover, in the category of entertainment. UFO Undercover brings you some of the most revealing and current research that is being done with respect to alien abductions and contact. Host Joe Montaldo has been an abduction researcher for over 35 years and is uniquely qualified to bring you live interviews with some of the most well-known researchers in ufology. Go to podcastawards.com to nominate UFO Undercover in the category of entertainment. That's podcastawards.com, and please take a moment and get out and vote now.
Looking for something new in sci-fi or fantasy? Check out what Brandon Sanderson, Orson Scott Card, Nnedi Okorafor, and others chose as the best news stories of the year in the L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future anthology. From 24 award-winning authors and illustrators, plus art and writing tips and bonus stories. L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future. Buy your copy at galaxypress.com, Amazon, or wherever books are sold.